your Frankie. Here's your pretty. Hey, hi, Michael. Good to see you. This video we are naming All About Singing. And although we're going to concentrate a little bit on the philosophical side of singing, because technically singing doesn't get complex like classical guitar, piano, violin. Singing, anybody can go, he can sing. That doesn't mean he has an ear. We're going to discuss that a little bit later. So the accent here a little bit on the humane side of the voice, the singing. But first I want to tell you a little bit about Michael. Michael is a music educator in the school system, and he's a performer also, mainly on percussion and singing. He's one of my better students. He studied with me for several years, and he was always very dedicated to his study. He always came to classes. And he was very, very serious about his work. And he is now doing this film with me, and also we do course number 5 together. That's the course he's on now, but we video it. So what I thought we'd do, rather than you like interview me and just ask the questions, I mean, feel free to do anything you would want to. You bring out a question or a subject, we'll discuss it, maybe go on to the next one. If you feel like saying something about it, you go ahead, Because there are a lot of people out there, I know because I get a lot of emails from all over the world, people asking me things that should be known, simple things that are not known. Same thing with living life, same thing with the philosophy of life. People just are caught in the lies. All lies. So, my purpose in life has become unveiling, or teaching people how to unveil these lies in themselves. When the lies are gone, the person automatically transforms. The person automatically does better. If he's trying to be a performer, as a singer, he will, easily.
Yeah, so when you speak of the lies, I see that as limiting beliefs. Beliefs that stop you from becoming who you are.
Right.
And they prevent your potential from, and it's this discovering of whatever these beliefs are that open you up to this.
Yeah, there's more than that, actually. I usually don't want to mention the whole thing, excuse me, sir. Look, smoking is a lie. Taking drugs is a lie. Having a drink when you have a problem is a lie. Doesn't solve anything. These are also lies. Even sickness is a lie, except that it's a little bit more difficult to comprehend. So lies are conditioning. The minute you came out of the womb, you're confronted with all this. Wow.
Right. So how do we get rid of this conditioning?
It's not difficult at all. Did you know that? It is not.
Well, I don't know if it seems somewhat difficult.
Well, that's because you haven't gone into it long enough. We just started doing that in course 5.
Right.
Well, first of all, there are some lies that are very, very difficult. For example, I'm working on one right now, and I'm tried a lot of stuff, and I keep trying and learning, but still it isn't giving the results that I want. But the lies, basically, I'm talking about the average lies that keep a person down. In singing or anything. Money.
Right, all right, so what you said about lies, you're saying that it's a conditioned process that has occurred over your life, right?
Yeah. Your parents
Right.
told you things that aren't true. And your parents suffered those lies because they've been told that for the past 2,000 years.
Your parents or whoever.
Schools.
Schools.
Teachers. People out there.
Right.
When I was much younger, I was always a rebel. And I found out that the so-called bad people of the street, the bums, prostitutes, I found that I could get along with them much better. They didn't invalidate me. And when I got to speaking seriously with them, I mean talking, a lot of things that they said made so much sense. And I was saying to myself, and that's why you're in that condition. That's why you've given up. You're on the street. So, when I look back, many of my friends were from that class of what people call irresponsibles. I mean, I'm not approving of the way they lived, but they were friends. They were more real than the other people, the educated ones. And anyway, let's get into the voice a little bit more. Does that give you an idea about the lies?
Yeah.
There are many things like there were lies of the past 2,000 years, mainly 3,000 years. You don't have to have wars. That's ridiculous. Bunch of little kids going over there with guns, shooting, killing each other. The bullets go in and your blood comes out. For what? That's ridiculous. That is old-fashioned now. We don't do that anymore. There's no need to fight or anything because your life is your life. I don't have to interfere with your life. Nor do I allow you to interfere with mine. That's all there is. You have to, but to know these things, you have to go step by step. And I'm now, every year, I read my own books. And now, this year, I'm reading The Path of Hidden Knowledge. I'm already on Sublime Realm number 3. And if you follow that, it's there. Now, I get the idea that people read that and they want me to tell them, well, number 1, you do this, you look in the mirror. Number 2, you pick up the comb. Number 3, you comb your hair. You know, I think this is what people want, but that book has everything that you need for total transformation. You'll get there as soon as we finish course 5. All right, so what shall we talk about now on the voice?
Well, I guess who would need voice lessons or
Who would need them?
Yeah, who would want to take voice lessons?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I have had all kinds, and probably you will know because he's starting as a private teacher also. Very soon, he'll be
Right.
teaching privately. And I've had all kinds of people, all kinds of reasons for people taking voice classes, okay? First, there are people that want to become singers. That's understood. 2, there are people that want to better themselves in society. Because singing has so much to do with the inner person that by taking some voice lessons, you automatically improve. Your voice improves. Then I have public speakers that give seminars that want to improve their voice. Then I have just regular people that want something to do, something educational to do, and they always like singing, so they come for voice lessons. They're not going to be singers. Now, at this point, shall I tell you about the tone deafness now, or shall we wait for later?
Yeah, that would be good. So if someone is not hearing pitch, like they can't match the pitches, how would you fix that, or?
You don't fix it.
Okay.
It's
Is it
well,
workable?
actually, I did fix it one time in my life.
But is it workable? Can you get an individual to understand what they're hearing?
Yes, but let's leave that for the end.
Oh, okay.
So, if the person comes in, you ask them to do a few things. It takes maybe 1 class, 2 classes to know whether they are really technically tone deaf.
Right.
Now, it is your duty as a teacher, and me too. I always tell them, stop everything. You cannot be a singer. You are tone deaf. It is your responsibility to tell them. Most teachers don't say anything. They just keep going along because they don't understand. They think maybe they're going to get to it sooner. Well, they could. There's nothing that a human being cannot do. But it would take like the next 25 years, and by that time, maybe if they're middle-aged, and that time maybe they're already dead.
Right. So it would take a lot more time.
Oh! So, it is your responsibility to tell them, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are tone deaf. And that something that cannot be fixed quickly. However, there was an exception in my life. I had a guy here, he was a good guitarist, popular way, and he accompanied himself, and he was actually singing around, but he was out of tune. But the guy had such intention, and his guitar was so good that people actually listened to him. I told him the truth. I said, you're tone deaf. Your guitar is good. He said, you want to keep going? I said, yeah. But this guy, he's going to be very successful in life because he was studying to be a lawyer. He didn't give up. He practiced. And within, I think it was 4 months, steadily, 1 lesson per week, he was not tone deaf anymore. He made the recording. He made a CD, which I still have here. It was a very good CD. I don't know how he did it, but he worked. Now I want to say one more thing. Those people who come in here who are not professionals or are not performing and they're tone deaf, they're the very ones who should continue lessons, not for singing. I tell them, you should continue voice, not for singing necessarily, but psychologically and spiritually to be able to connect the differences of the vibrations of the tone. Because I don't know, nobody knows why people are tone deaf, but my understanding, the way I see it, it is a miscommunication between left and right brains. So they should, the ones that should continue their classes to improve that.
And aside from tone, there are some psychological aspects to just singing that affect the self-esteem. And what would you say?
Well, person walks in through that door, I know right away what's wrong because I'm so used to seeing what the face does. When you sing, you move the mouth. When you speak, you move the mouth. You move the eyes, you move the face. All this tells me something. And when the guy walks in, I say, he'll sing, and the mouth is closed.
Right.
I drop three fingers in the mouth. Open the mouth. They can't do it. It takes about 2-3 weeks, some of them. That means they're blocked in.
Right.
They're totally blocked in psychologically. They don't want to come out. Now, I could develop that voice to be a beautiful voice. In fact, I have. But they will never do well. They'll never perform because all blocked up inside. See? So sometimes I get even professionals that come in that blocked up inside. And just by opening the mouth and explaining what I'm explaining now to you, to them, transformation. So you see things like that. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, like, well, say you have someone that like kind of is resisting, like they kind of want to sing, but they're just not doing it. They're shy, or I don't like to use the term shy, but you know they're resisting. They're not singing.
They're resisting
They're in a
because
class
they don't want to, or that they're being rebellious, or what?
No, not rebellious. I think there's some kind of fear there.
Oh.
You know, I think that's really what it comes down to. a fear of what other people might think,
Yeah.
you know, and,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Well,
Um,
just the singing itself, as they improve, they will get over the shyness automatically, and they will not be afraid of what people say. But if the case is very heavy, then I'll give them EFT. Not in the first class, nor the second, nor sometimes not the third, because they don't believe in that stuff. They what, tapping? That's silly. I got a lady, she's reading my stuff on the website, and she wrote to me, and there's something wrong with her, and I'm trying to help her, and she said she tried it once and it didn't do anything for her. Well, if she doesn't know how to do it, of course there's not going to be any result.
Right.
But then I will give the EFT. EFT is a tapping technique, as you well know, which produces miracles. Of course, you have to be sensitive with it. You have to know what you're doing. Yeah. Now, you are a voice instructor also. You studied all the courses that I have. So, what have you noticed in your own teaching? Private teaching, or even in school?
What have I noticed in what regard?
And in regards to the singing,
Well, one of the aspects is that there are students that kind of resist singing in the classroom, and I see this as some kind of fear. Mostly, they're afraid of what other people might think about them.
right, in the classroom.
So, yeah, so they may not want to open up their singing. Now, the students that I, coach as we go along in classes, they start from nothing, and then eventually they open up. By the end of the year, they're entirely different.
Well, in
which is
class,
amazing.
of course, you have all these people around.
Yeah. Well, that's the trickiest thing, in a classroom setting, you can't do what you can do in a private lesson.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little story. You can do this in your classes also. Excuse me. I used to give seminars to eliminate stage fright. And everybody's there, all stiff, and I give an introduction. And then I had this little joke exercise where everybody goes around speaking with an open throat. Did you take part in that?
No, but I think that's in one of your courses.
Yeah. How are you? And everybody shaking hands with everybody. Go, hi, how are you? How are you? That was in connection with the voice, right?
Right.
Then they sit down. I say, now tell me, give me a number from 0 to 5 or 0 to 10. How scared you were before and how scared you are now, and the number goes right down.
Mm.
Why? Because they communicated. They're funny. They laughed.
Right.
Now, talk a little bit more. This has actually happened. Not once, several times. I said, okay, now I want hands. I want to know the how you feel in a number about coming up here to talk to the rest of the group, from 0 to 10. And some people had 9, 8, 7, 6. I didn't bother with those. But somebody would raise their hand and says, I'm down to like a 2. I'm terrified.
Oh, so the lower the number, the more.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You can do it the other way also, but
Okay.
I don't want to get the
Right.
listeners confused
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So you said 2, that means he's very low on that subject. He's terrified,
Right.
Well, I picked up this lady, there was a 2. She's terrified, we never spoke before. All right, I'll tell you what. Would you like to come up just for 1 minute? And I promise you that it will be uncomfortable. But you will get free if you follow my instructions. Well, I'll try. She comes up, this is a lady, she wrote me a testimonial that's on my website. She
Right.
came up, very nice lady. And she gets up, okay, tell her, say hello to everybody, says hello. So, okay, tell the group how you feel right now. It's, oh, I'm terrified. I'm really afraid. How do you know that? Could you tell us how you know that? Well, my heart is pounding. Okay, anything else? My legs are shaking. It seems like I'm going to fall down. I see. I understand. Now, I want you to tell me exactly what you feel in your legs. Tell the audience. What is it that you feel in your legs? Well, they're weak. They're kind of trembling, you know. Yeah. What color is the discomfort? Just that question alone gets them. It breaks through those lies. Well, it's green, light green. Oh, okay, very good. Now, the heart. What's with the heart? Well, I can't breathe. The heart's pounding. So, okay, tell me exactly. How do you know it's pounding? Well, I hear it. I feel it. And I kept asking questions. In other words, I forced her, without forcing, to the point where even some students would whisper, Gil, you're going too far. But I know nothing's going to happen. Because nothing will ever happen if you have the courage to confront yourself. And so by asking these questions little by little, what was it, a period, 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, then we went actually to about 10 minutes, just to show that the problem was gone. And so these questions forced her to confront what was happening. So how do you feel now? Well, I feel a lot better, yeah. Okay, how do you know you feel a lot better? And I kept going questions. I don't take the first positive answer as the end of the whole thing.
Right.
And no, I feel good. Yeah, I feel good. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And everybody's clapping. Okay, now talk to these people. And she talks to them. And she wrote me a testimonial that all her life she was not able to be in front of people. She loved performing, but she wouldn't perform. So, that was one technique. You really have to know what you're doing. But, so whatever you confront, whatever problem you have to confront it. You have to look at it. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you produce a good singing voice?
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Simple. That's look, the voice, you've been singing since you were a kid. That doesn't mean you're educated in how to produce the sound. You learn a little bit about sound production. You open the throat, you open the mouth, you have to learn how to breathe, all of those things. Then you do certain exercises to strengthen the vocal cords. Because if the vocal cords are not strong enough so that you can control the sound now. Control the sound now. You can't do that control if your vocal cords are not strong. You know that because with the beginners, the voice trembles and all of that. So you need to strengthen the vocal cords and the breathing, which we may go into a little later. And that's really all. There's only about 10 secrets to develop the
So
voice.
what exercises do you use to strengthen the voice?
Well, I use the first two exercises for life. Same two. I learned them with my own teacher in LA, one of the best teachers I ever had. What's his name? It was many years ago. It'll come to me. There's a simple warm-up exercise. And then the second one I called the siren. To develop the range. And that's all. I have them do that. You do those two exercises for life. You'll always have your vocal cords in good condition. And once you know how to sing, you don't lose it. I'm an old man already, and I don't practice at all, but I haven't lost it. I can sing. I can pick up the guitar now, go to any bar, or any place, and sing popular song, and it'll come out. People will like it. It has lost a little bit, but not that much. It's not like violin. I know because I had to study all of these instruments. You did too. You majored in music education, did you?
Performance.
Yeah. Well, you had to know these instruments. So, piano, classical guitar is probably the most difficult of all the instruments. So, yeah.
So what skills are necessary to expressively be able to sing and play in a solo or ensemble?
What is necessary
Yeah, skills that you would need.
in an ensemble?
Yeah.
Like what?
Then that's like for a singer. What would you say there that they would need to learn first? Sound.
He's going to sing with an orchestra or a small group.
Small group, yeah.
Well, anyone this is the training that is important. Not so much the singing, but the training that is important. Being able to read the music, having a good ear, be able to count. If there is a conductor, be able to follow the conductor. It's very important. And the greatest of all is the ability to be there. Remember that drill? Be
Right.
there, being in present time. Totally in the present. And it's impossible for a person to be in present time. It's impossible for me to be here with you, talking to you or anybody, totally in present time, if in the back of your mind there's little voices from the 3,000 years ago saying, you know, you gotta be a big, good boy. You can't, that's a sin. You can't say that thing.
Yeah.
You have to be free. You have to be who you are. As long as you're not being malevolent, you're not hurting anybody. You just are what you are. Yeah.
So you spoke of earlier about my question was how can you clear away entanglements, hang-ups, and insecurities, habits, and fears, and you do that through EFT.
Yeah.
And is there any other ways that you work?
Yeah, there is regression. If it's a heavy thing that they have a lot of difficulty confronting, and it doesn't solve with EFT, but EFT does take away the difficulty, then you could regress them in time without hypnosis, just regressing in time. And some cases are difficult, but you can do it. You can do it. See, look, Michael, the problem is not so much doing the right things. It's getting rid of the wrong things.
It's like learning to trust yourself fully.
Yeah. Man, woman is basically benevolent. It's basically good. We are basically good. We were born from the universal beingness basically good. But then we got covered over, wallpapered over with all of these cockeyed beliefs, things that don't make any sense. And people that notice this early in life, like me and like others, I have a lot of students like that. And just by telling them what I'm telling you right now, they snap out of it. There's nothing wrong with them. They're actually more right than all the others. But they've been conditioned by the schools, the army, the government, this, that. Oh, you got to do it this way. No, you can't do that. Who said I can't do that? I'm not hurting you, am I? That's really what the big thing is. If you just eliminated the negative, you're automatically good, automatically.
So let's get to the voice.
All
So
right.
what are the basic ingredients of how we can make
Well,
sound?
excuse me,
Or-
let me
yeah.
interrupt you for a second. You said, let's get back to the voice, which is, I understand.
Well, no, I mean the more of the singing side.
Okay, more of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technique. Well, let me just say it anyway. When you say voice, you're like performing as a singer. You're performing as a person. That's what it is. That has with the piano, with the classical guitar, with all the other instruments also, but not as much as the voice. The voice is you.
Right.
So if you're all messed up inside, that's the way your voice is going to come out. The people listening to you sing, they're not saying, gee, look at the quality of that voice. Well, sometimes they do, but there's something in the singer that they feel from him.
Right.
And that's what's important. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah. So, well, I guess before we end, so it's the emotion that they feel,
Emotion.
and it's that communication that the singer is sending out through their voice.
Through what they believe, what kind of
Yeah.
psychic being lives in that body. And a lot of people have difficulty giving life to emotions. They actually get scared of the emotions. I have a student right now, people that use their intellect a lot, like scientists, problem solvers, inventors. They're wrapped up inside that head, the intellect.
Yeah. Too much going on.
Yeah, they're afraid to feel. Yeah. They don't feel. Sometimes they fool me because they're so intellectual. They know everything. They read the whole book, or the textbook. They read, I've read it a couple of times, yeah, they can discuss anything. Now, go ahead and say, the sun on its lunar swings, no feeling, nothing. And then they get mad. I said it perfectly, perfect English. That's not what I'm looking for. Go ahead, use wrong English, I don't care. I'm looking for something else. That's why course 5 is difficult. I can do it on Skype also, but in person it's very good because I can see if that guy's playing games with himself or not. And that's what sells. Absolutely, that's what sells. And in business too. It's not the product. It's who you are. It's what you believe inside why you're doing what you're doing. So that's all it is.
And that comes back to trusting yourself.
Yeah.
That if that trust isn't there, then it can't come out, right?
Yeah.
You have to free yourself from whatever it is
That's right, and that's what we tried to do with course number 5, and my system of doing this, the path of hidden knowledge. For example, I reached a point in my own personal evolution where I don't decide what should be done first out of my intellect. Of course, sometimes you have to use the intellect. You can't go the other way either. But I actually reached a point where I have all these things that I want to do, and I asked the universal beings, let's not confuse this with saying, oh, the Holy God, and I am the universal beingness, I am part of it. I connect with it instantly and say, what should I do first? What do you want me to do? And whatever I do fits better than what I decided.
Right. Now, shall we get into?
Sure. That's what singing is all about, but
Yeah.
we'll get to technical also, because a lot of people out there want to know the technique.
So when you say, you ask, how do you know if you're receiving a response, or if it's just you thinking, in your head?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
That is the dangerous point.
Yeah.
If, try not to forget, because this involves so much, if you are being phony, with yourself, if you have spent half of a lifetime playing games with yourself, you're not able to see anything about yourself. Everything is, you think, everything is whatever you decide, whatever your elaborated mind decides and so forth. But you reach a point where you start putting the crosses on the T's. Say, oh my God, I didn't plan this, but it happened this way. Like these courses, course 5, 5 plus, 5, 5A, I didn't plan them. The textbooks got written. And then I said, gee, well, this is course material. Well, let's do the course. So you start noticing things like this, and then pretty soon you say, wait a minute, something is going on here.
Something is guiding you, in other words.
Yeah. You see that everything is falling into place. Then you compare that to the past, when you were starving and you were having a lot of problems with everybody, and you say, well, at that time I was very arrogant, I was full of myself, and I didn't take other people's desires into consideration. It's really amazing.
So when you said you didn't plan it, what, you received maybe inspiration to go ahead and do the course, write it out, or whatever you want to say, or
Apparently.
what? So something compelled you to do it.
Yeah.
There was no plan on your agenda to do course 5. As you say, right?
The inner self. Everybody has an inner self which is covered over by a mind, by a body, and the mind works in the brain only. Intellect is only in
So
the brain.
how do you know how to let go of the planning and just let that, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I allow myself to be inspired by something, or do I follow some plans that I've been working on?
Well, keep
You know, how do
yes.
you balance that?
Excellent
Yeah.
question. Look,
Yeah.
don't give up what you're planning on, because ultimately you are the director.
Right.
But you, the director, is covered over by lies still. Once you begin to notice that all the lies are going, and most of them have gone, you can now begin, you start trusting more in the inner self, which is the part of you that doesn't need a brain, doesn't need intellect. And say, well, I feel that I should do this. Well, I'm going to do it. And then you see the result. The result was good. There's no effort, you know. For example, I was thinking of, a few days ago, I was thinking of, oh God, this stuff is so very subtle. I was thinking about this thing we're talking about, but more in connection with doing wrong things. And I had this little dream in the morning. I pick up stuff. This little dream was real. I'm telling this person, we are the reflection of the universal beingness. And this other person rebates. She says something against that, or not against that, but how do you know? And I looked at both of them and I said, you are the reflection of the universal beingness. And I was half awake. I got up, I wrote it down right away. I always write it down. I was thinking about this for 2 days. On the second day, it solved this thing that you're talking about. If I am the reflection of the universal beingness, and then if sickness happens, then I'm not reflecting the universal beingness. There's something in me,
Yeah, right.
in my physical, brain, intellectual mind. There's a lie there, and we have to discover the lie. And that's what it is. My belief is this, that once we reach the knowingness that we are the reflections of the universal beingness, which is not up there. I keep pointing up there because that's conditioning. See?
Right.
Since I was a kid, they talk about God up there, universal beingness. Well, it's not up there. It's right here. It's in that jar, in that flower. It's right here, between me and you. So, Uh, if there's something bothering you, if you're sick, apparently you're doing something wrong. You're believing a wrong belief. Because if one day you reach total knowingness that you are part of you are in fact a partner with the Father and Mother. You are a partner with the universal beingness. You already, you know that you're all powerful. You know everything. You don't have to worry about anything. And as you evolve, you get to know this more and more and more and more.
So if I'm inspired to write course 5, right? But I have also a lot of other inspirations. And in my mind, I'm trying to decide, well, what should I focus on? Where should I put my attention to? I have all these things I want to do. Or say there's somebody out there, they want to learn to sing. They want to learn, they're inspired to go learn, but they just don't know what to do first. That is actually something within me that's throwing me off. Are you following what I'm saying?
Not too well.
So I have all these inspirations, right, to do things.
Right.
Let's just say, let's stick with the course 5,
Right.
right? But I have other things as well that I want to do. Like I have so much coming to me,
Right.
right?
Right.
So but I'm having a problem as to what to focus on. Do I do this? Should I do that?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Is that
Well,
something?
that's when you ask the universal beingness, what should I do?
Okay.
Guide me. That's
And
what I
then
do
just
now.
go with it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful. Your earlier question, how do you know it's not your mind saying?
Right.
Well, it's very difficult to explain. After a while, even your mind, your intellect are part of the universal beingness.
Mm.
So the more you get into the universe, you get into the key. You're playing in the key of the universal beingness. The more even your body becomes universal beingness. Therefore, what you decide is okay too. So all of it doesn't matter what. This stuff can't be proved scientifically. Just do it and find out, and things will go right.
Mm.
Now, things like course 5, well, you're taking a course, you're studying, you have to do a little bit every day. There are certain things you need training. Certain meditations are very helpful because it influences what the Indians call the chakras. It influences your glands, the pituitary, the pineal, the pituitary, the pineal gland, and what is the other one? Pineal is here. Anyway, so some of these things you actually have to practice.
Now, is there a, like before you go into practice, is there something to help you prepare for that? Like just to get your mind focused and ready to have a good practice?
Yeah.
Or you just go right into it?
Well, sometimes it's difficult to go right into it because
Yeah.
something's bothering. Like yesterday when I was meditating, I'm doing all these movies and stuff.
Right.
And I couldn't take my mind off. I can use this program and that program, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the best you can. Don't force things, you know. But that's what it's all about. So in art, like singing, you need to be a real artist. You need to know all of these things we're talking about. That's what art is all about. Of course, the other side is the technical aspect. You have to be good at the instrument. You have to practice every day. If you don't practice, your muscles don't work right. If I pick up the guitar now, it's all stiff. I don't practice. I don't need to practice because I'm doing other things that interest me more right now. And for example, I lost the movement of my right hand, my right fingers on the classical guitar many years ago. And I've been thinking about it, gee, it brought me to where I am now. I like where I am now. I would be interested in these things
Right, if you have not traveled that path.
If I hadn't, yeah, if I hadn't traveled that
Yeah.
path, and
Everything has a purpose.
yeah, everything has a purpose. So in art, singing is another thing. Most singers are not doing anything to help the world. They're not, let's say, if a person's purpose in life is to sing, they have to align that purpose with the purpose of life itself. Now, my famous student, Fannie Lou, she's famous. She sings. When she walked in here the first time, I said, "You have so much magnetism. If you make singing your purpose in life, you will succeed. You'll be known all over the world." Well, she's not known all over the world yet. She's known in 2 continents already. And now, I don't know if she deliberately aligned her purpose in life with the purpose of life itself, but it shows it, because when she's singing in public, you can almost read it in her. Her desire is to make you happy, to make you feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So apparently she contributes that way. She makes people feel wonderful. Now there is another type of singer that makes people hypnotized also, but it's in a negative way. All this stupid music. You know, here's a guy who can play 3 chords, C, F, and G7,
Right.
and then 6 months from now he's got a band he's playing all over the place. A rock
So
band.
what is that, a lack of consciousness, understanding that people are drawn into that music? Like music that has a negative
No, man.
side?
Listen, if you look, let's say this room is full of people right now. There's 5 of us over here. And you say something, and everybody looks at you like this. And then you say something else, and everybody goes, ah. So naturally you're going to say more of that. Now, it so happens that the majority of people on this planet, 85%, are totally filled with lies. So they want anything which is easy, tiki, give me a little drinky, ha ha ha. Everything is on the surfacey, right? So they don't want, if you have something serious to say, something good for their own good and the good of the world, they don't want to hear that.
What I thought you were going to say is that they're sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking.
Yeah, it's just a lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness.
Yeah.
But this is the way life is. It's nobody's fault. It's because all of us are caught in chains of causation from the past. All that is explained in my book, The Path of Hidden Knowledge, in the 3rd part. But now don't go reading the 3rd part without reading in the beginning, because you can. That's very heavy stuff. So they're stuck to chains of causation from the past. All of us have been stuck to chains of causation. Now, through effort, through study, through meditation, we come to, every day we know a little bit more who we are, and the more we know who we are, the more we know what life is all about. Now, life is not about having children born. It's not about having meetings all over the world for peace. It's not about government. It's not. Life is about knowing who you are. If you know that, you can be a politician, you can be a daddy, you can be a wealthy guy, you can do everything, and everything is in its right place. You don't have to worry about anything.
So when you say knowing who you are, you're speaking of knowing your purpose.
That's part of it. What makes you tick? Why are you living this life? Why are you living? So that's all it's in my book. I'm reviewing it now. Why are you living? Are you living to teach music? Okay. That's good. Why? Because it helps humanity. The kids you're teaching in the public school system. A teacher like we are, it's a great responsibility, because those little eyes looking at you, they see you as a God. And you are a God. That's what they're seeing. And then one day you're in a bad mood, you go in there and you tell them something bad or you do something bad and they lose faith in you. I have a guy, 18 years old, sent me a huge email yesterday with all kinds of problems that happened with him and his family and everything, and he says he trusts me and he wants to tell me about it. I haven't answered him yet. But he said that he lost faith in humanity. Because we are working from the wrong viewpoint. Money. You'll do anything to make money. That's why these people that they want me to advertise a certain way and play all these little tricks. Like he says, I get an email today, he says, well, you can't, I'll give you a membership for $1. This is the last time until tomorrow at 12 o'clock. The games. I don't need any games. All you have to be is real. Now, to be real, you have to be honest with self and reality. You have to look. For example, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm wondering, am I showing off? Am I talking too much? Am I saying the wrong things? All this is going on at the same time. I am judging everything I am doing, not judging. I am observing, so I know if I am real or if I am still caught in those phony games of the past. Like I used to play phony games. Like one night I was playing and I was Sokovia. I even moved like he does. Another day I was Charlie Bird. You know. Anyway, let's get back to the voice.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about a little bit of the training aspect?
Yeah, why not?
So what are the 3 basic principles that are the basis for singing?
For what?
Can you break it down into 3 basic principles for singing?
For singing? General principles?
Yeah, basic singing, the most important to develop the voice.
If you, I don't care how much feeling you have or how well you already sing. If you haven't studied sound production, you have room for improvement. So the first thing is you want to know how to produce the sound and understand what it requires for that sound to come out, and that sound is a picture of you inside.
So we would call that the open throat.
I would say this item number 1.
Open throat.
Well, open throat is one of them. You're talking about different techniques. Three fingers in, open throat, breathing. Those are techniques. You're not talking techniques. You want 3 general principles. So let's answer that first. So the first one would be having some study in sound production. You have to have, if you never study voice, you have to study voice. Because there's a lot of room for improvement. Then number 2, you have to feel. Like they asked Caruso. Maestro, what do you need to be a great singer? And he says, well, you have to have large memory for the parts. Right? Yeah. A big chest and a big heart. Feeling. You have to have feeling. And you have to know how to interpret. If you feel, you will interpret the music. Music has a communication of its own. So those are the first 3 general principles. Then comes the technical things. The technical things are 1, open the mouth, 3 fingers. Mouth's gonna be wide open. Oh, I can't sing that way. Of course you can't, because you've been singing like this for a long time.
Right, yeah.
Now you're gonna open the mouth and no voice, no sound comes out. So open the mouth, open the throat. You have to yawn, open the throat. Because when you do that, when you speak with the throat open, that's called the subconscious voice. It puts you automatically in tune with the universal being. It's amazing. You ever go to the church or someplace and there's this guy lecturing about divine principles and he's talking like this through the nose with a closed throat? And God said, well, He is the peace of the world. You know, I'm not saying that the people that are using that type of voice are not real, but if you are speaking with an open throat and the voice is coming from your gut, and you say, the sun on it, or for example, in religious things, you say, almighty force of the universe, reach the spirit within me. It's a whole different thing. It actually has the vibrations that move you and move others. So all religious people, priests that lecture in church and stuff like that, they should develop their voices. Very, very important. That's the control. The breathing, you have to have a lot of fortitude in the breathing, because you have to keep it going. You think of something and you got to think quick and move it. It's all coming from the diaphragm. See? Then you have to know what magnetic tension is like. For example, give me your hand. And you know how people, they're hi, and they squeeze the hell out of your hand, it hurts. When I get one of those birds, I know right away, they're phony. And then there's the other guy, Mr. Canciglia, how you doing? It's a little hearty handshake to you. And they're dead, it's no good. And then there's a magnetic guy who shakes your hand and he proceeds to squeeze it slightly, but not the muscles, the nerves. It's like holding a lover's hand. And that's what magnetism is. It's a tension in the nerves. And you have to learn how to maintain that tension in your body as you sing. Well, it's there anyway. If you're really real, it will be there. Yeah. What else you got there?
So finding the best breathing technique.
Finding the best breathing technique?
Yeah.
The best? Gee, I thought the universal being has only made one. I don't know. Look,
Yeah.
I went to college, and my drama teacher told me to breathe from the diaphragm. My woodwind teacher told me to breathe from the diaphragm. My dance teacher, Mr. Jan Veen, told me to breathe from the diaphragm. They all told me the same thing. And I graduated, and I didn't know how to breathe. And then when I started studying the works of the father of magnetism, Wester Ed Gurley, whom I have revised and expanded his works, then I learned how to breathe. You breathe on the bottom, not on the top. You don't stop the air from going to the top. You don't stop it. It will go automatically through pressure from below. But when you are speaking or singing, here's the other thing. Mostly everybody puts the accent on the belly going out and in. The accent is on the diaphragm going down towards the floor. And in the process of the diaphragm going down towards the floor, it pushes the belly out a little bit. But you don't go, and so the diaphragm goes down towards the floor, and the diaphragm is a muscle that goes across here like this. It separates the stomach from the lungs. It's the floor of the lungs and the roof of the stomach. And that diaphragm apparently moves down as you breathe, not out. But the belly does go out because it's making room all around. Look, there's room being expanded all around me here. If it doesn't work, you can't hold it that long,
No way.
you know? So breathing is very important, not to speak of the health. I go to sleep at night like that. I take my deep breaths, and pretty soon I'm sleeping, and I tell myself I want to have my nocturnal adventures. I've been having them since I was in my early 30s. Now, these things that I'm mentioning, have you observed these things in your students?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The throat is usually not open. They tend to sing with a closed throat. And they sing here.
You need to speak a little louder.
They don't sing from the diaphragm. They just,
Yeah.
from the throat.
Very, very important for singing. And that's really all. Good posture, slight nervous tension, and the rest is all the bigger heart. It's all within, it's the person himself. Of course, when you go into opera, and you're doing those beautiful, beautiful arias, hey, you have to study, you have to work at them. But by the time you get into that stuff, you're already a master, you already know how to control your whole body. So, voice teachers teach these things, these technical things, but I very seldom hear anybody going into the spiritual aspect of
Right.
singing. All my teachers, Grace Hunter at the Boston Conservatory, oh, that one in Los Angeles, I can't think of his name, he was a very good teacher. But none of these, and many other voice teachers I've had, none of them really spoke about this aspect. It's all like technical and pragmatic, you know. Well, if I make friends with you, then sooner or later I'll be friends of your best friend who owns such and such company, and then they put me up for a contract. Who needs that stuff? Ah, that turns me off. I'm not saying that you shouldn't know people, but I should know you with the same reverence that I know Gloria Estefan here in Miami or somebody. I don't know her, by the way, but they're just people. And if you can't make it, that's why it's so hard to get into the music business. You got all these producers in Miami Beach, and you have all of these producers all over the world, and you got to go there for an audition after another, and they've got to get into your head, and they have to know everything about you. Why? Because you're playing games, and they know you are. And they're playing games themselves. But if you go there, and you're real. I used to do that when I was in Boston. I'd go into, they had agencies for entertainment there in those days, all over the place. And I'd walk in, and I would turn on my tape recorder as I walked in, and I'd go like this, make like I was singing, you know. Sometimes they'd be on the phone, they were forever on the phone. Yeah. And I'd go, shut up. And then I sit down and make believe I go to sleep. And say, yeah, what do you want? Oh, excuse me, you know, all these games, what? You know, just are who you are.
Okay.
Let's see, what have we missed about singing? Most of the songs that are published nowadays, that are written nowadays, are not good to practice as part of your vocal class. They're not musical. They're dull, nothing. There's nothing to it. The best songs in popular music, the best songs to learn, to develop interpretation and feeling are the older tunes. I always use The Falling Leaves. Ye falling
Falling
leaves,
Leaves.
drip on the sun. Okay, that one and many of the others are good for knowing interpretation. And you have to go through these old songs before you get into the modern stuff. The modern stuff is, the majority is crap. Unless it's something new by Barbara Streisand or Celine Dion or what's her name? Mariah Carey. The singers are a dime a dozen, but they don't got what it takes. Now this girl, Fannie Lou, tremendous magnetism, very spiritual, what a personality. Now, I have another student also, she studied me for quite a while. She writes religious songs. She's very Christian and very lovely, warm personality. And she's making it on her own because she refuses to go by the malevolent. Amy Barbero we were talking about, and she just doesn't play any of the games. She's singing for a purpose. Her purpose in life is totally aligned with the purpose of life itself. She wants to inspire the whole world through Christianity, and that's what counts. So you saying about
Yeah, how do you do what you love and make a living at it at the same time? You know, and be successful.
so I'm going to start from the side that we don't want.
Okay.
If you play every game in the book, they all do it. Even the best, they play every game in the book. Maybe you'll build up something.
So what do you mean by game in the book?
Games, like I'll give you a little video that has the secret of the universe
Right.
if you become a member, and then or you got their address, and now you keep sending them advertisements to
Right.
get the money. You
Oh,
play
okay.
every trick to get money. Walkers on the path of hidden knowledge don't do those games. I walk the path of hidden knowledge, and I'm proud to be a teacher, as you are, and I'm proud of what I do. I like what I do. I want to be famous, yes, because fame is really love. Not the same fame that other people, the reason that other people want fame for. The people who play these games are doing it for fame so that they can go to the TV show and this and that, and then they have the money, and it's all a big show-off thing.
So
If
you're
they last-
are you speaking of acknowledgement?
talking about acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is love. So I like to be famous too, because then you feel like you're loved. The one problem with people who walk this type of path is they don't feel enough love. So if you play the games, you probably do well and you live and everything, but you'll never be completely happy inside. And maybe there will reach a time when you lose everything. But a person who goes the other way takes much longer. Person walks the path, and he's an artist. He's singing, he has a purpose for his singing, and he moves. It's slower to get there, but he never gives up because it's real to him. Now what happens is this. Right now, we have reached the point in life where people don't believe anything. They don't believe what they see on the, they tell me. They don't believe with the advertisements they see on the internet. And that's why they write to me. This young man that wrote to me, he doesn't even know me. I never met him. So he said that he doesn't believe anybody anymore, but he believes me because of the way I present things. That's what he gets. So people are becoming that way. They follow the ones that steadily but slowly maintain that pace, that reality. and then in the end you're going to get more people, more satisfaction, less illness, because when you play those games,
Right.
you get sick.
But so, how does that bring you to being able to do what you love and allow the money to follow? Or
Well,
whatever?
money, if people love you and they like your stuff, naturally you're going to get money, aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe take a little longer. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you shouldn't advertise.
No, I'm not. I'm saying like, say somebody loves to sing, they want to be a singer, but they're working at some job that they're not fulfilled in. How can this singer do what they love, singing, and whatever its
Well-
purpose is with the voice.
Somebody wrote to me on Facebook and said, what do you do if we want to get money? I said, first love what you do, then give it away, free. Pretty soon people will like it and they'll give you money instead. That's it, 4 steps. Now you want technical little things. Well, first you say hello to this guy in this way. That's all it is. You love what you do. You give it away. At first, when I was in Boston, I was well known there as a performer. I was starving. And I had kids to feed. But I stuck to my guns. And every morning I took time to advertise myself. And I started playing free everywhere. For the University of this, for the University of that, for the International Institute, parties. Wherever people asked me, I did for free. Then I started charging a little bit. People started knowing of me. And pretty soon, well, then I got an agent. He was very good. And then pretty soon I had a lot of work. 7 nights a week I used to play. At one time I was working 7 nights a week.
So you got to get yourself out there, really.
What?
You get yourself out there.
Yeah, you gotta get out
And
there.
and if giving it away gets you out there,
You gotta get out. You have to make yourself known. You've got to tell people about you, what you do. And you have to have enough respect for what you do in order to be able to talk freely about what you do. Because if you're a phony, you'll not be able to talk freely. Because the minute you start talking about what you do, there's a resistance, something. And people feel that. They don't know how, but they feel it.
yeah.
And singing is the same thing. You're gonna have 2 beautiful singers right there. There's Pavarotti and Jose Carreras. They're both beautiful, gorgeous people, voices and everything. But outside of the weight of Pavarotti as compared to Carreras,
Yeah.
which one had the most magnetism?
I would say Pavarotti.
Pavarotti. That's right, Pavarotti had something about him.
Yeah.
He's real. Just everything just comes out. Now, Carreras is a wonderful singer, a wonderful gentleman, but he comes a little bit more from the educated side. The way he holds his hand like this, that's the old way they used to teach people on stage, and you can see all these things, Pavarotti was free, totally free.
So, I don't know how much time we have.
We have
We have time. So how would you close in defining or, defining what like magnetism is? What does it take to have that magnetism in your life?
Well, it takes all of these things that we're talking
Yeah.
about. There's many ways to achieve magnetism. Some people are born with it, but most magnetic people that have it, that didn't work for it, have this quality that we're talking about. The ability to be themselves, to not be afraid, because if you're yourself, you're not afraid.
Yeah, the ability to be yourself and not be afraid. Yeah,
No, you're not afraid because you are yourself.
yeah.
You see, that's what it's all about. That's what magnetism is all about. You're there flowing all the time.
So you're fully yourself.
as much as it is possible.
Yeah.
Totally there in present time. You don't have to shake hands, you don't have to smile, you don't have to do anything. It's what's inside. My money, it's what's inside. You got a product? Gotta have a product. If you don't have a product, you can't make any money.
Right. So let's say you feel you're not being yourself. How do you attune yourself back or bring yourself back?
You don't.
You don't.
Anytime you are doing something, saying something, or thinking something that you don't want, you do absolutely nothing except look at it.
Observe.
Observe it. And as you observe it, it automatically becomes part of some other universe, not yours. It disappears. Just look at it. But if you understand the 12th secret key in my book, the Path of Hidden Knowledge, and if you took course 5A, you don't even ask that question. That's how I know where people are on the path, by the questions they ask. You wouldn't ask that question because you know that everyone, including you, everyone, even the geniuses, are caught in chains of causation. That is a secret. And if you're caught in the chain of causation and you're good, you're doing the best you can. So doing the best you can doesn't make you perfect. So you're bound to make mistakes. So you're looking at mistakes as a result of you being caught in certain chains of causation. And everybody's caught in the chain of causation. If you were born through a woman, well, you'd have to be born through a woman, not a cow. If you're born through a woman into the physical universe, you are caught in the chain of causation. Now you have people like Jesus, avatars, Buddha, maybe Walt Whitman, a few others that were born, you know, what they mean by being born without sin,
Right.
that sort of thing, immaculate conception. Well, it's not like it's written. There's nothing to do with that. But there are people that are born with the ability to not get caught in the chains of causation, and Jesus was one of them. That's why they said that he was born immaculately, that his mother didn't have sex with his father. That's a lot of baloney. I don't believe that. But I think it's possible to be born with such an evolved beingness that you don't need to be part of a chain of causation. And apparently, he showed that right at a young age, at 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. How old was he when he went to talk to the Jewish rabbis? Yeah, he was very young. He showed that he was almost like from a different world. And I meet young men sometimes here through YouTube or through the internet who are so intelligent, so good hearts, and they think they're bad because they're caught in these chains. They are evolved, and it's so easy for an evolved person to get caught in the chain if he's surrounded by people that are not walking the path. So, all in all, success as a singer is success as a being. That is all. Oh, you can spend a year. I'd say if anyone, for pop singing, 1 year for training. Maybe not even that. For real singing, like opera, real value singing, classical, I'd say a good, not even including repertoire. Repertoire takes forever, 10 years, 50, just 2-3 years. Any more than that, you don't got it. So, voice is the person itself. What else do you have there about this?
I don't. that's pretty much it. Is there any last words that you would want to say in closing?
Well, for a singer, always parallel his singing studies with studies from the path. Not necessarily my path, but studies that have to do with self-empowerment. And I'm not talking about the self-empowerment that these other seminar leaders use. Self-empowerment, well, the ego, self-empowerment. No, self-empowerment is just observing who you are. If you get up in the morning and you sit down for 10, 15 minutes, asking who am I, looking at it, or thinking about anything, or not thinking nothing. Sometimes I just sit there and say, whatever you want me to meditate on, just let me know. And it comes.
Yeah.
And I don't say, no, you couldn't possibly send that. No, it's there, then it sent it. It's amazing, just amazing things. So, in ending, let me say, you want to be a good singer, you take time, you go to a good teacher, or you can order my course. Go to a good teacher and you study the necessary time to understand voice production, sound production, and how to sing well. And you don't need more than 6 months for that. And then you have to decide whether you're going to do classical music or popular music. If you write your own songs, you have to learn to write your own songs. Then start singing. Find out, what is my purpose as a singer? This is my purpose in life, singing. Now how can I align this with the purpose of life? I could sing in old folks' homes. I'll give an example of that in my book. I could sing in children's homes. I could sing in hospitals. At first free. I'm not going to do everything free because things free are against the law of nature. There's always an exchange in nature. Complete exchange. The plant grows and then gives seeds to the earth, and the earth gives its magnetism, and the whole thing, everybody's contributing to something. So you reach the point where people ask you, they remember you, and they ask you to come and sing for them at their weddings, at their parties, banquets, clubs. With clubs, I would never do it anymore. If I was to start my life all over again, I would not do clubs. I did a lot of clubs. A lot of fun and a lot of stupidities also, but I wouldn't do it. That's not what art is for.
Right. So aside from the technical part, you also, I think it's important to include the psychological for training as well, like we spoke about.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's understood.
Yeah.
And I'd rather use the word spiritual rather than psychological.
Right. Okay.
Psychological, yeah, that's what we've been talking about. You got to work with self-empowerment along with your art. For example, you right now, why aren't you giving concerts every week all over Florida? You could, all you have to do is decide. Get an accompanist, prepare a repertoire, and you're giving concerts all around. You give everything free for 1 year. And after that, they have to pay. And at the same time, people are getting to know you. They're buying your courses, the stuff you sell on the...
It's funny, because that did come to me. It did come to me. I got that message, but I haven't responded with it. But yeah, that did come to me, that I should perform to further develop the private lessons.
You don't accompany yourself on the piano, do you?
No, I don't think I would want to.
Oh, okay. Do you?
I could figure out.
Just do it, just singing alone, and get somebody to accompany you.
Yeah.
Small people. That's all you need, really. Piano would be better, real piano. And make a repertoire. Maybe classical, a little popular too. And then just get out there, give it for free, and start doing it. 1 year of doing it free. You do a good job, and they'll love you.
Yeah, it's best advertisement you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll go to your website, they'll want to study. What a better advertisement could you have for teaching at home, like you want to do right now? So do that, okay?
All right.
Very good. Thanks for the help with this.
Okay.
Now, this is gonna be ready, and a lot of people have asked about it, so I'll let you know about it when it's
Okay.
through.